Welcome to Guide to Reads, your sanctuary for ideas that stir the soul and challenge the ordinary. If you've ever asked yourself, is happiness enough? Is purpose all there is? You're not alone, and this episode is for you. Today, we open the pages of Life in Three Dimensions by psychologist Shigehiro Oishi, who brings forth a profound idea, that a good life isn't just about feeling good or doing good, but also about being moved by wonder, challenge, and the richness of unexpected experience. While most philosophies of well-being focus on happiness and meaning, Oishi introduces a bold third element, psychological richness. A life of depth, of stories, of curiosity pursued and comfort questioned. So if you've ever found yourself suspended between joy and purpose, maybe the path forward isn't either or, but something more textured. This summary is more than a recap. It's an invitation to trade predictability for possibility and to ask, what makes a life not just good but unforgettable? Subscribe and let's explore the third dimension together. Chapter 1. 2 Ways to Live a Life. Let me tell you a story. It's about a father and a son, bound by blood but shaped by 2 very different visions of a good life. The father was born in a quiet mountain town on Kyushu, Japan, a place steeped in the scent of green tea and the sweetness of sun-ripened clementines. Like his father before him, he lived close to the land. He married at 27, raised 3 children, and tended to his tea fields with the same hands that honored generations past. His life has barely changed in decades. Rooted, familiar, steady. His son, born in that same mountain town, but 18 days after turning 18 he left. College in Tokyo, a study abroad year in Maine. Love found with a Korean exchange student. They roamed from New York to Minneapolis to Charlottesville, finally planting roots in Chicago. 2 kids, each born in a different city. Today, the son is a professor. His life is filled with change, culture, curiosity, unexpected turns at every corner. Now pause for a moment. Which of these 2 lives would you call a good life? Which man, do you think, is happier? We won't answer that just yet. Because the real question runs deeper than happiness. It asks us what we value, what we seek, and what makes life truly worth living. Let's keep going. Chapter 2. Is there a formula for happiness? What if I told you there's no formula for happiness? Not because it's a secret, not because the answer is hidden in some ancient scroll, but because, truthfully, there may be no single answer at all. Psychologists and philosophers have spent decades trying to map the terrain of a good life, and along the way they've found 2 familiar roads. The first is the hedonic path, the pursuit of pleasure, joy, and personal satisfaction. It's the thrill of learning to paint, the comfort of a warm home, the delight in a partner's laughter, or the dream of finally walking through the streets of Paris. It's happiness in its simplest form. The second is the eudaimonic path, the pursuit of purpose. This is the teacher who forgoes a high salary to serve where she's needed most. The activist who marches, writes, and resists, not for applause, but because something within insists. This matters. It's meaning, anchored in contribution and conviction. Both paths are noble. Both are real. But here's the paradox. Walking only one may leave you feeling incomplete. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore why happiness and meaning, though powerful, might not be enough on their own, and how adding a third dimension could transform not just how we live, but why we live. Chapter 3. The Happiness Trap. Aristotle believed happiness was the highest human good. So did the philosopher William James, and in a recent global survey, 69% of people agreed. Happiness is life's ultimate goal. Sounds reasonable, right? Who wouldn't want to be happy? Science even backs this up. Happier people live longer, are more generous, more productive, and more resilient. So, what's the problem? The trap lies in the chase itself. When we treat happiness like a finish line, we put immense pressure on ourselves to always feel good. But life isn't built that way. Trains get missed, hearts get broken, dreams get delayed. These moments bring sadness, anger, frustration, emotions that aren't flaws, but features of the human condition. And when we fear those emotions, we rush to patch them up, sometimes with a run or a walk in nature, but other times with a credit card swipe or one too many drinks. It's like trying to mop up a rainstorm when we were built to weather it. Psychologists call it the psychological immune system, our built-in ability to recover emotionally. But it only works when we let ourselves feel, not when we numb or run. There's another twist to the trap. Modern culture tells us happiness is something we achieve, get the promotion, hit the goal, win the prize. But research says otherwise. Sure, a promotion feels amazing, for a while. But 6 months later, we're often right back where we started, emotionally speaking. In chasing achievements, we sometimes sacrifice the very thing that offers lasting happiness, our relationships. We skip dinners with friends, cancel family time, and call it ambition. But the cost is real. Connection is the currency of joy. So maybe happiness isn't something to chase. Maybe it's something that arises, quietly, steadily, when we choose presence over pressure, connection over comparison. Chapter 4. The Meaning Trap. Not everyone sings the praises of happiness. Gustave Flaubert, the French novelist, once said the formula for happiness was to be stupid, selfish, and have good health. Cynical, yes, but not entirely without a point. For many thinkers, happiness feels too fleeting, too shallow. Meaning, they say, is what gives life real weight. Steve Jobs echoed this in his iconic Stanford speech. The only way to be truly satisfied is to do great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. A meaningful life, by that definition, is one of impact, a life with purpose, grounded in deep values. But, just like the pursuit of happiness, chasing meaning comes with its own quiet trap. We hold up figures like Jobs or Flaubert as paragons of purpose. They built legacies. They moved the world. But here's the problem. Their lives are the exceptions, not the rule. And when we try to measure our lives against theirs, we often come up short, feeling inadequate, even lost. Meaning isn't always grand. It doesn't need a stage or a spotlight. Take a moment from history. In the 1960s, President Kennedy visited NASA. He met a janitor and asked what he was doing. The janitor didn't say he was sweeping floors. He said, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." In that simple statement lies a profound truth. Meaning is a matter of perspective. It can be found in quiet contributions, in small acts, in the belief that you're part of something bigger. And here's another trap. In obsessing over big meaning, we sometimes miss the everyday beauty. The laughter over coffee, the unexpected kindness from a stranger, the joy of doing something just for the fun of it. We dismiss these as distractions, but maybe they're the very moments that bring richness to life. So what's the lesson? Happiness and meaning aren't enemies, they're partners, and most of us don't need to choose one. We already weave both, sometimes without even realizing it. Chapter 5. Happiness or Meaning. Let's return for a moment to the father and the son. The father, rooted in his small mountain town, devoted his life to family, land, and legacy. A quiet rhythm marked his days, familiar, steady, meaningful. The son, in contrast, charted a course of adventure. He wandered far from home, fell in love across continents, built a career among strangers turned friends, and embraced change at every turn. His life overflowed with novelty, passion, and personal joy. Both men have known love. Both have known fulfillment. But now that we've explored the twin pillars of happiness and meaning, let's ask again, who is happier? It's tempting to choose one, comfort or curiosity, tradition or transformation. But here's the twist. We've been looking at this question in 2 dimensions. According to the latest research, there's a third way to evaluate a well-lived life: psychological richness. It's not about joy, not about purpose. It's about depth, variety, the richness that comes from unexpected detours, foreign languages, difficult questions, and even heartbreak. It's the color that floods in when you trade safety for surprise. So maybe the real question isn't who's happier or whose life had more meaning. Maybe it's who lived more richly, and perhaps the best lives aren't the ones that maximize just one value, but the ones that embrace all 3: happiness, meaning, and psychological richness. Chapter 6. The third dimension, psychological richness. There's a secret ingredient to a fulfilling life, one often overlooked, yet deeply transformative. It isn't joy, it isn't purpose, it's something subtler, richer, psychological richness. But what does that really mean? A psychologically rich life is a life filled with depth, not just the highs of happiness or the gravity of meaning, but the kind of experiences that shift your perspective, that wake you up, that reshape your understanding of the world and of yourself. It's the wonder of wandering through an unfamiliar city, the challenge of learning a language that twists your tongue, the profound vulnerability of recovering from illness or navigating parenthood for the first time. Some lives are naturally tilted toward this kind of richness, and often it comes down to who you are. Back in the 1930s, two psychologists, Gordon Allport and Henry Odbert, dug into the dictionary, unearthing 18,000 words that describe human personality. What they found became the foundation of what we now call the Big Five: extroversion, neuroticism, conscientiousness, agreeableness, and openness to experience. Here's the key. People high in openness to experience are those most likely to seek psychological richness. They are curious minds and restless souls, those who wander into art galleries just because the light looked interesting, or who order the oddest thing on the menu simply to feel surprised. Add a dose of extroversion, the trait that craves connection and new conversations, and the canvas of life becomes even more colorful. Extroverts don't just meet people, they build bridges to new ideas, cultures, and ways of being. There's even a name for this: the network extroversion bias. The more open, the more outgoing you are, the more you spiral into circles of novelty, and the richer your life becomes. And here's the beautiful part: this richness builds on itself. When students study abroad, for example, their scores in openness actually rise. It's what psychologists call a virtuous cycle. Curiosity breeds growth, and growth fuels even deeper curiosity. But what if you're not naturally open or extroverted? Don't worry. Psychological richness isn't a club for the select few. It's a mindset, a willingness to say yes to the unfamiliar, to approach life not with fear, but with fascination. In the next chapter, we'll explore how you can begin inviting this richness into your daily life. No passport required. Chapter 7. Experience psychological richness every day. Not all who seek depth must scale mountains or cross oceans. You don't need to quit your job, live alone in a lighthouse, or move to Japan without a word of the language to find psychological richness. Though such bold adventures certainly qualify, richness of experience isn't measured in miles or daring. Sometimes it lives quietly, just beneath the surface of ordinary days. So, how do we invite it in? Here are 3 simple invitations, adjustments so subtle that even the most reserved among us can answer them. First, be spontaneous. We live in calendars now, grids of meetings, errands, neatly stacked tasks. But richness often slips in through the cracks of the unexpected. Try breaking your pattern. Wander a different street on your walk home. Call a friend on a whim. Cook something new without checking the recipe twice. Let the day surprise you, even just a little. Spontaneity isn't chaos, it's curiosity in motion. Second, play. Yes, adults can play. And no, you don't need to finger paint, though you certainly can. Play is simply presence without pressure. Read something for no reason. Hum while you stir your tea. Walk without counting steps or tracking progress. Play removes the agenda from experience, freeing your mind to wander, wonder, and connect in new ways. Third, take small risks. We're not talking skydiving here. Psychological richness isn't about danger, it's about novelty. So say yes to the unfamiliar dish at your favorite cafe. Try that dance class you've always been curious about. Speak up in the meeting. These small acts of courage, repeated over time, weave unfamiliar colors into the fabric of your life. You see, a psychologically rich life isn't always a grand journey. It's a gentle tilt of the soul toward the new, the playful, the unplanned. And when we deliberately create space for such moments, we don't just enrich our days, we expand our sense of self. In our next and final chapter, we'll return to that timeless question: what makes a life well lived? With all that we've discovered, happiness, meaning, and psychological richness, we'll explore how they come together to shape the story of a truly fulfilling life. Chapter 8. The Psychological Richness of Adversity. Not all treasures are found in light, some are forged in darkness. We often chase psychological richness through chosen paths: travel, learning, literature. But some of the most transformative experiences come not by invitation, but by disruption. Adversity, for all its pain, can offer something profound, a shift in how we see the world and ourselves. Take Takashi Fujimoto, a New Yorker whose basement apartment was swallowed by the floods of Hurricane Sandy. One moment he was untangling cords, the next electrocuted, hospitalized, scarred. And when he emerged 37 days later, everything he owned was gone. Yet, something remained, something deeper. He spoke of how his neighbors rallied around him, how strangers became family. "It changed my perspective for life," he told the New York Times. Loss became connection. Disaster became clarity. Suffering became a story of human kindness. This pattern echoes around the world, in New Orleans after Katrina, in Kobe, Japan, after the quake, in the quiet streets of northern Italy during the peak of COVID. Amid catastrophe, people reported feeling more alive, more connected. Children who survived the Kobe earthquake later dreamed not of fame but of service, nursing, firefighting, caregiving. Adversity, in its cruel way, deepened their capacity for meaning. But not all pain transforms. What makes the difference? The story. It's not the event, but how we tell it, whether we find threads of meaning, of insight, of connection, even in the chaos. Takashi didn't just survive his trauma, he gave it a shape, a narrative that nourished growth. This is the secret of the psychologically rich, not a life filled with exotic drama, but one filled with stories. Stories that reveal depth, complexity, and change. Not because their lives are more eventful, but because they've learned to weave meaning from both beauty and bruises. So perhaps the question is not whether life will offer you hardship. It will. The question is, what story will you choose to tell when it does? Chapter 9. Life in 3 Dimensions. Let's return one last time to the quiet wisdom of the Father and the curious wanderings of the Son. The Father, grounded in tradition, found meaning in stability and family. The Son, chasing dreams across continents, found happiness in newness and success. So we ask once more, who was happier? But this time the Son interrupts us. "You're asking the wrong question," he says. That Son, he's not just a character. He's Shigehiro Oishi, the very author of this book, a leading happiness researcher. And it was this personal question, this contrast between his father's life and his own, that sent him on a lifelong quest. A quest that led to a discovery. We've been looking at fulfillment through a narrow lens. It's not just about happiness, nor is it only about meaning. There's a third dimension, psychological richness, the depth, the chaos, the wonder, the discomfort, the change. All those messy, vivid experiences that don't fit neatly into categories of joy or purpose. So maybe the question we should be asking isn't, who lived the better life? Maybe it's, how can you live a fuller one? And the answer, dear listener, is this. Don't chase happiness at the cost of meaning. Don't pursue meaning while neglecting joy. And don't fear the unpredictable beauty of psychologically rich experiences. Because life, in its most vivid form, isn't one-dimensional. It's not even two. When we allow happiness to lift us, meaning to anchor us, and richness to transform us, that's when life becomes 3-dimensional. Final summary. Why this book matters. Life in 3 Dimensions presents a richer, more nuanced perspective on the pursuit of fulfillment. It reframes the age-old debate between happiness and meaning, suggesting that the true secret lies in a balance of 3 interconnected dimensions. Happiness found comfort, meaning found contribution, psychological richness found growth. The ultimate takeaway? Don't just live a happy or meaningful life. Live an interesting one. Embrace all dimensions of life, and let them guide you toward deeper fulfillment. Now we'd love to hear from you. Should we dive into The Power of Moments, Range, or perhaps explore another book? Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated on more thought-provoking content.